The TimmyBago's back on the road, baby. God, maybe not for much longer if that's going to be going. And man, it took such a long time. Here are the 7 things I wish I knew before breaking down in Montenegro. Look at the state of that. Literally flapping around down there. Is that not supposed to look like that? Huh? I'd been in Budva for about 10 days. My Airbnb host had hooked me up with a local mechanic, but after a rapid fire diagnosis, he'd gone really quiet. So I took things into my own hands. And after initially feeling quite positive, things took a turn for the worse. The person I spoke to there was fantastic and just seemed very motivated, shall we say. So I'm feeling positive about this one.
A few moments later.
Ooh, it's not good news, folks. They haven't got the parts. They can't get the parts. And even if they could, they don't have the tools to fix the van. The helpful lady, though, did give me a phone number of a place in Podgorica. So I emailed Bolex. Then 2 days later, having heard no reply, I phoned them, no reply, phoned again, and eventually got through, where they told me the email address that I'd gotten off of their website was no longer correct. So I forwarded them the email with the new address that I got and waited again. And waited and waited and waited. Eventually got through on another phone call where they then read the email, promised me that they'll get back to me, and never did. And that brings me to my first lesson. Don't trust anybody and chase, chase, chase. At this stage, I was clutching at straws, so I went back to the lady at the garage to see if she could be of any more help. She gave me some more information, another place that I could try, the LiQWYD dealer, because apparently they're owned by Ford. But that didn't sound right to me. So I looked it up on the internet, and Ford hadn't owned Jaguar for over 10 years. So this brings me on to lesson number 2. Don't believe everything you're told at face value. Go and check every single thing, because people will tell you stuff just to get you out of their garage. And I feel like that was what was happening with this lady that I was so positive about at the start. That led me to using the spray and pray tactic, where I emailed every single Ford dealer in the Balkans, along with several back in the UK, just to get an idea of whether these spare parts are even available and what price they might be. And the results of that spray and pray came from a Ford dealer in the UK who let me know exactly what the part numbers were that I needed. That was crucial information, as I could then confidently search online for these parts from eBay or various other distributors. So with that, it became apparent that I was going to be able to get the parts. Now I just needed to figure out whether there was a mechanic in Budva that could fix it. I tried to get back in contact with the original mechanic. I wanted to check that these were the exact parts that were needed, because he had just driven it and come back and said engine mount, CV joint. There's lots of different parts of the CV joint, left or right, inner or outer. There were 3 different engine mounts, so I wanted to know exactly what parts were needed. But he was just useless. He gave me no indication about when he'd be able to help. And so I eventually just gave up, which led to lesson number 4. Get on your toes. So I looked up all the mechanics in Budva, made a list, and then went walking around from place to place. The first place I tried, they spoke virtually no English, but there was a person there that spoke very good English. I think he was another client, and he basically took it upon himself to help me out and phone up a load of parts stores on my behalf. And this is lesson number 5. Most of the people won't have any reason to help you, but there's a tiny percentage of people that absolutely will. I'll call these the 1%ers. When you're going through something like this, you need to ask enough people that you find the 1%ers, the people that will go out of their way to help you. This guy phoned the parts store, told them what I needed, and apparently there was a parts store in Budva that had the bit that I needed, the CV joint. So he said, just go get it now, bring it back here, these guys will fix it. And I was delighted. It seemed like I might be able to get the part that day. It was due to cost about 50 euros, and these guys would fit it. I'd also checked the engine mount myself, and I thought maybe it was just a couple of missing bolts. So would this end up costing very little and be able to be done today? So I went off to the parts store. They didn't have it. They never actually had it in stock at that store ever before. So who knows what the miscommunication was. But again, it just goes back to that other rule. Don't believe anything at face value. Go and check it for yourself. I went back to that garage. Unfortunately, the helpful stranger had gone, which left me to discuss it with the other mechanics that were there, and they spoke virtually no English, but they did recommend a different garage. And this place wasn't even on Google Maps, but it was closest to where I was staying, so I headed off there. So I rocked up at the new garage. CV joint was clanking all over the place. And there was activity. There was mechanics, there was people doing stuff. It looked like a garage that actually might do some repairs. But they were all head down, cranking on this, ratcheting on that. I went into the office. The guy in there spoke no English and just kind of waved me away. Eventually, after standing around for sort of 5 minutes, I realised you've just got to make yourself a pain. And this brings me to lesson number 6. Make it harder for them to ignore you than to deal with you. So I just walked straight into where they were working and asked if anybody spoke English. They kind of all shrugged a little bit, and then somebody came over and we got started. And within 10 minutes, they got the van, they were doing a diagnosis, they worked everything out, and we were in business. And whilst that was good, progress and actual diagnosis, that was when the extent of the damage really became apparent. I needed not 1 but 3 engine mounts. I needed the CV joint, and I needed brand new brake discs and brake pads. And so we were set. I had to order the parts. As soon as they arrived, I could bring the van back and they would fix them up for me. And this is lesson number 7. Don't expect things to work the way they do in your country. I'd never expect to have to do this in the UK. You take a vehicle to the garage, they sort everything out, tell you a price, and then fix it and give it back to you. It's not the same here, certainly not for foreign vehicles. So I found all the parts on a website called Spare2, ordered them, and they would be delivered by DHL in the coming days. I had to pay an additional €88 import tax to the DHL driver, something Spare2 had hidden deep inside their terms and conditions. They got a ton of 1-star reviews for this, and I'm not surprised. Well, at long last, the parts have arrived. As far as I can tell, everything seems to be in order. Engine mounts, 1, 2, 3, CV joint, brake pads. Okay, off down the garage. Hear how bad this sounds. It's maybe got worse. I'm gonna go incredibly slowly. Literally flapping around down there. In fact, I'm gonna freewheel as much as possible just to keep that CV joint from working at all. I left the van and went about my day feeling very nervous about how the repairs might go. Would they be able to do everything? Would they discover anything else that was wrong? And how much would it cost? After what seemed like an age, I got the call, and when I returned to the garage, they showed me the parts that had been replaced. The CV joint. Look at the state of that. One of the engine mounts. And one of the brake discs. Is that not supposed to look like that? The cost came to €500 for the labour. That felt a little bit expensive to me. What do you think? Does that seem about right to replace the front brake discs and pads, 3 engine mounts and a CV joint? Either way, I was happy to have the TimmyBago back. Okay, back in the van. Let's see how it's driving. No clunking noises. Oh, that feels good. Oh, so nice to be mobile again. In total, getting the van fixed took 27 days, €500 for labour and $440 for the parts, including delivery and import tax. It's more than I'd like to have spent, but that meant I could drive the van back via some really cool spots in Montenegro, Croatia and Liechtenstein, all of which are coming up in future videos, so hit subscribe to follow along. Peace!